Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by.
Now, here's JP.
Wednesday, it's a hump day edition of the JP Peterson Show, along with Peter Blake. I am your host for today's festivities. We got lots to get to today, a lot of guests coming on. Joe Madden from Sports Grid TV does a lot of betting stuff. Will join us to talk some Bolts and some Bucks and all kinds of stuff, so we'll chat with her. Leo Haggerty will join us at 10:45 to do a little USF football. Boy, are they in the tank.
Ugh. Yikes.
Yeah. Well, I have some other news that may not make many USF fans very happy on that deal. Their new Hall of Fame class was announced yesterday. And there was one name prominently omitted that we thought would be in there. Jim Leb.
Why was he not in there? That's the next question, but we already kind of know that question, don't we, or the answer to it. Right.
Well, it's kind of weird because last year he came back for the Hall of Fame banquet, which was a really big deal. Paul Griffith went in, and he supported that Paul Griffin going back into the Hall of Fame, and Jim was there to support that and kind of that mended the fences between of the way that ended and everything, brought everybody back together. There was a lot of good mojo going on with that, with the understanding that Jim would probably be in the next class. And he has been omitted. Not that he won't eventually get in, but that just seems like another dropping of the ball at USF. That stuff that should easily be done, that's not done. And but we'll talk a little bit about that with Leo Haggerty, and Harry the Greek will join us at 11:15, and we'll get some bets going for this weekend as we look ahead to the Bucks and the Falcons, which is a huge game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And going through a little bit more of the all 22 yesterday and last night, and certain things just keep popping up, and we talked a lot about it yesterday. The lack of push on the offensive line is very, very evident. I think you really have to look at making whatever changes you can make in that offensive line right now in the interior. Gedecke's playing well, and Wirf's playing well. Filer, Hainsey, and Malk are just not getting any push on the interior of that offensive line, and the running backs are just not finding any holes, and your running game is just stuck in mud right now, and they've got to find a way to open that up, to open up the pass, or this offense that suddenly, the 6 points last week really brought the cumulative totals down dramatically to the 18 points a game that we were seeing last year, which I promised you folks would not be the case. And so far, I think the offense has been okay. We knew it would be a slow start. I don't think it'll be 18 points a game at the end of the year, but it needs to be a lot better than that. It needs to be up in the 22, 23, 24 range for this team to have any success. But this game is freaking huge. This game is freaking huge. To get to 4-2 in the division, to have two wins within the division, including a quality road win within the division, 2 more games with the Panthers left. That's just huge. The difference between 3-3 and losing to the Falcons and 4-2 is really, it's the season. I can't stress it enough. This is, you've got to have a takeoff point within the season, and this is it for the Buccaneers. So we'll get into some of those matches as the week goes on, but we'll talk a little bit about that today with the Buccaneers as well. The Bolts lose last night, 3-2 in overtime, salvaging 1 point from a very, very disappointing 3-game road trip. So we'll get into some Bolts talk as well. There's some interesting stuff on the horizon with Manchester United that I want to talk about. Some Rays news in terms of, we touched on this a little bit yesterday, but I want to get into it a little bit more about revenue sharing and how some of the other MLB teams are pissed off at the Rays, which kind of illuminates a little bit about their stadium situation. So we'll hit that as well. United States men's national team got a big win last night. Oh, and there was a hearing this morning with the NCAA that produced the greatest quote in history vis-a-vis players' rights. So I'm going to share that with you a little bit later on in the show. But Peter Blake, we'll dive right into it this morning. I don't know if you got to watch any of the Bolts game last night.
I did, absolutely did, and I felt like the second period there. They have 3 shots. You get 1 goal by Hagel there with the rebound, and then you're able to salvage at least a point. I tell you what, let's go out to that highlight there. 7 seconds left in the game with Hagel, because basically, JP, you're looking at no points on this road trip.
Upkiss.
Yes, here we go.
Brayton Point retrieves, throws it towards the net. Leon makes the save and holds the left post for the rebound as well. It's out in front. Poked out. Score! Hagel!
There you go.
Whoa. Ooh. Yeah, the difference between no points on the trip and 1 point, it's a big deal. So they salvage that. You go to overtime, you're like, man, maybe we'll be able to sneak out another point here. But I think the good news is, and I don't know if you have the Cooper audio from last night, but Cooper was a little upbeat after the game, which is interesting after getting 1 point on the road trip. And typically, this is what Coop does. When the team is doing well, he can be a little salty. But when the team is struggling a little bit, he tends to be a little bit more encouraging, which I like. He doesn't want to give the appearance, and probably because it's not happening more than anything, of pushing the panic button. You're 1-3 last year. You're fine. 1-3, you're fine. You just got to pick it up. They got a lot of games coming up at home. I think they got six games at home in the rest of the month here. So I'll be very busy at Amalie Arena. We got Thursday night, Vancouver coming in, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I think we're on a roll here for a little bit with home games. Yeah, so we'll have a lot of home games and some time in between for them to practice. Second straight game, Stamkos could not play because of a lower body injury. That's a little concerning, but we're told it's not super serious. So he'll be back. But last night, Coop mixed up the lines a little bit as the game went on and put Alex Barboulay with Cooch and Pointer, and that seemed to ignite those guys a little bit. ABB, we've talked about this a lot. He's a tweener, right? He doesn't really fit on a third and fourth line because he doesn't have the physicality, but he's super skilled and he's a scorer. So he needs to play in that top 6, but he just hasn't been able to produce when given that opportunity with the Lightning at the NHL level. So it's like now or never for him. And with Stamkos down, there's a need for a skilled forward in the top 6. So this gives him yet another opportunity. I didn't score last night, but the line picked it up. They had 6 shots in the last period and a half. They played better. They were starting to produce. The Bolts go down 2-0 in the first 8 minutes, and so they win the second and third periods 2-0, which is good. But you got to win games, right? You got to get over the hump. So they get the point with 7 seconds left on that great. Hagel gets 2 goals. But there was a little bit of, Cirelli and Hagel now paired together, produced a couple of goals last night. So, Cooper's going to switch things up if things are stale. He doesn't have a problem doing any of that. So that worked. That tended to work last night. And they played a little bit better as they went in. So is this the key moving forward, coming back home on Thursday night? Let's hope so. You got a Vancouver team that's pretty gettable. Got to get a good home win and then kind of get some good feeling going and then get on a roll.
And even Cooper talked about this last night after the game about not only them playing better against Ottawa, but he felt like how they played versus Buffalo. Here we go.
I just think the goals didn't help us. It probably took a little steam out of us thinking, oh my God, we're down again. So we got to the period break and we regrouped and I just thought we found ourselves. And, the other big thing too is we had 22 missed shots. I mean, we had some glorious looks and we just kept missing the net. So if you're going to do that, now you're taking away chances for rebounds or taking away chances just blatantly to score. And so I thought that hurt us a little bit. But I got to look at this game and say this was a step forward, just like I thought the last 2 periods of the Ottawa game where we were taking a step forward. And it's just unfortunate we're not getting 2 points out of these games.
There you go. And it comes down to also, defensive breakdown. So we saw that last night. I think Johansson did a heck of a job, with what he was given. But we see that the goals that they're giving up, the defensive breakdowns, and hopefully they can correct that because that was the big key with Vasilevsky going out. Could this team, with somebody else behind them, play better defensively? And right now you would have to say you're still having some of those breakdowns. So not necessarily great, but I think they played a lot better. It's good to see Hagel once again, leading the team with 4 goals. This is the reason why you trade a first-round pick in the first place, JP, from Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. You're really pleased with what Brandon Hagel's doing, but you're also not so pleased with what a lot of the other guys are doing, not getting on the score sheet since game 1. So, they've got to pick it up. The big stars got to pick it up. Cooch got to pick it up. Pointer's got to pick it up. There's no reason to panic. These guys are quality NHL players. We've seen them, and like Coop said, you missed the net 22 times. Shots last night were 31-23, third straight game they were outshot. But 5-on-5, I think there was only a 2-shot differential, and you missed the net 22 times. So I think, that just tells you their puck possession is pretty damn good. So again, no time for panic. You'd like to get better results, but you're fine at 1-2-1 with 3 games on the road. Come back home and start, banking some points here. They start dropping some games at home, to some average teams. Then we can start pushing the panic button. But right now, no Stamkos, 3 games on the road, divisional opponents, no Vasilevsky. Let's sky is not falling just yet.
Right.
Sky is not falling just yet. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yes.
So
yes,
they may not be fine. I don't know. We'll see. It's a lot of new faces, but I still believe in the core of this team. There's too many good players on this roster for it not to be a contending team. The national pundits are never going to give them their due, especially when they're, when you go through a lot of changes and you say, oh, well, the Lightning should get the benefit of the doubt with the core of their roster. They don't get the benefit of the doubt when they're winning cups, from the national media. So don't hold your breath, folks. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they say about your team. I know it gets frustrating sometimes when they talk about everybody else, but they don't talk about the Lightning. But that's okay. It's fine. You want to be, at this point, you want to be under the radar. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't affect what happens on the ice. So whatever. I know it's frustrating, but take wear it as a badge of honor that they always want to undersell the Tampa Bay Lightning to their detriment. So
that's it. And how much of that power play missed Stamkos last night? And how concerned are you with that injury? It's almost like Bill Belichick is running in the NHL because a lower body injury. What's a lower body injury? What is it? You're so mysterious with the injury situation. How concerned are you with Stamkos being out?
Not. I don't. From what I'm hearing, it's not a serious injury, but you don't know. It's okay. Like that's the thing, though. You're like, in hockey, they won't tell you anything about it for maybe someday because people are now betting on hockey a lot more. Maybe someday they'll start telling you, exactly what these injuries are, but probably not. And that's okay. What you want to know is it serious or not? Is it serious or not? And normally we kind of get a feeling for what's going on. And what the sense I get is it's not super serious. So is it season ending? No, I don't think there's any chance of that. Is there, is it maybe a couple weeks? Yeah, we'll see. But they've played well without him before. They can go a stretch. I don't want to go a whole season without him. That's not what we're looking for. But I think they'll be fine. So Johansson last night made 29 saves, 28 saves. I thought he was good, when in the third period when they needed him. I thought he came up big with a breakaway save there. Very Vassy-esque in that moment. So I don't think the goalies have been the issue necessarily, but that's kind of the way it is with the Lightning, right? It's, when Vassy's there, they just win a lot more games. It's funny how that works.
Right. That's how it is when you have a top goalie in the world, like Vazzy. So
yeah,
we'll see what they can do, going forward here. But I think I tend to be positive. Like you said, they got enough veterans on this team that need to step up, and I think they will eventually step up. And you just can't have those defensive breakdowns at the end of it. So
agreed. All right. So moving on to the Buccaneers. They got a huge game this week with the Atlanta Falcons at home, 1:00, Raymond James Stadium. It's 1:00. Pretty sure it's 1:00.
Yeah, it's 1:00. Yeah, that's 1:00. We'll get out of there early this week. So
yeah, the weather will be nice. Hopefully,
yeah.
Be nice. we talked a lot about the running game yesterday, and it doesn't look like they're going to make any changes. Talked to Scott Reynolds about that yesterday, and there were a couple guys on his radar that he thought the Bucs might be able to pick up. But Todd Bowles said they're not really interested in that. I think they should be. And some of our commenters yesterday talking about Ramondre Stevenson from the Patriots, the couple others that Scott Reynolds mentioned. They're skipping my mind right now. I'll have to go back and look at his article on Pewter Report. But I think they should go get somebody that they can grow with. I'm just, especially if it's not going to cost a lot in terms of draft capital. The season is still very much in the balance. Obviously, it's a young season. I think you've got a lot of data now with Rachaad White and Keyshawn Vaughn. And you just need somebody else to give it a shot to see if they can give this running game some juice, because these guys just aren't getting it done. They're just not getting it done. And a lot of times it's about the running back. It's about the running back's vision. It's about his feel for the game, his strength, his ability to break tackles. Just haven't seen a lot of that from these guys lately. I thought Rachaad White was going to have a big year. I'd seen enough from him. And frankly, from Keyshawn Vaughn in his rookie season, you saw flashes, but that guy's definitely regressed. Certainly hasn't gotten any better.
No.
And Bowles seems to, at least when he's at the podium, talk, in terms of having a lot of confidence in both of these guys. I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't get it. So at some point, I think you got to make a move. And I think it's the time to do it.
Is it
Rashad Penny James? Yeah, that Rashad Penny James mentions. This is a guy that has worked in the Seattle system and is buried on their depth chart. Go get him. When he's gotten an opportunity, he's shown out. And it's going to cost you nothing to go get this guy. 6th-round pick, maybe 6 or 7-round pick. Get him in and bring some juice in here. You know what? And maybe it'll light a fire under these other guys' ass. Your job is on the line, bro. Rachaad White. We're going to give this other guy a shot. That usually gets the best out of guys. So right now, I think Rashad's probably feeling pretty comfortable. Like, what are they going to do? They're not going to go get anybody? Okay. Well, maybe I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Nah, it ain't working.
And from what you see, is it more interior line or is it the running backs themselves? Because to me, I think
even with the all 22 and looking from the end zone, and not knowing exactly what the play, because there's so many different ways to coach the run game, right? A lot of running backs, coaches will, want you to follow your lead blocker. There's certain, they block a play, if they're bringing a tackle out, and you can see the kind of the combination blocks that they're trying to get done here. There just doesn't seem to be a whole lot of space. And, it's timing is another thing. You've got to know when to slow down and when to hit the accelerator. And it just doesn't seem like these guys. Now you can freeze the tape, at the decision point, so to speak. But unless you're in the shoes of the running back, literally in the shoes of the running back, and from his eye line and his vision line, it's really hard to Monday morning quarterback, if a running back is hitting the right hole, hitting it at the right time. It's such a feel thing and a timing thing that unless you're like wearing, virtual reality glasses and you're in that spot, because there's, from up high, I can see what the cut lane is. Everybody can see it.
Sure.
But, when you're in the moment, you're holding the ball and you're at ground level, you don't see the same things. You can't see it. The great ones see it. The great ones feel it. The great running backs just feel it. That's why, sometimes it's just, you got to put a different guy in there and see if they can do it. It's such an individual, talent, timing, speed, physicality type thing. Because, there are speed runners that, are wait for a glimpse and then they hit the accelerator and they go through it and they get to the other side, but they're producing yards. There are, power guys that can hit a hole that's kind of small and power through arm tackles and constantly get 4, 5, 6 yards a game. Derrick Henry comes to mind. So everybody does it in a different way. It's a production business when it comes to running back. Can you get the job done? See what they can do. So are they getting a lot of push and opening up holes? No, there's not a whole lot of holes there, but there are some open spaces to run to that these guys are consistently not finding. Christopher Cole says, run more counters. Yes, more counters, more movement, more, the old counter tray, man. I love that play. It's you counter one way, you come back with 2 lead blockers the other way. There's a lot of movement. And if you got a really good running back, they can find those open spaces. So yeah, it's It's a really, the run game it's a hard thing to master. It really, really is. And you got to have good players. You got to have guys up front that move people. But that's the game, right? The other team gets paid too. They have guys up front that don't want to be moved. So
that's it. And they're planning for it, and they're game planning for it. And a lot of people would say, in talking with Harry the Greek on my show, The Sports Web, he says they're not committed to it enough. They're not running enough. And of course, the game plan has to be more balanced because
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. You cannot continually run you cannot continually run the ball and get no yards.
Right.
You got at some point in a game, you have to say, okay, this ain't working. I can't get any movement. None of the plays I call are working. We've called counters. We've called leads. We've called power. We've called everything. Nothing is working because we're not moving anybody. We're not moving anybody. When they're better than you at the line of scrimmage, in which the Lions are the number 2 defense against the run, you got to find – listen, the Lions didn't run against the Bucs, and they put up 20 points.
Yep.
Why? Because Goff was on fire, and he had time to throw. Baker didn't have a whole lot of time to throw, and he was not accurate. That's the difference in the game right there. It's not the run games. We stopped their run. They stopped ours. What's next? They were effective enough in the short passing game and the long passing game to get it done. So within a game, philosophically, do you want to run the ball more? Yes. But when you're in the middle of the game and you're in the second quarter and you realize, listen, by the second quarter, if you can run the football or not. You just know. You're either moving people or you're not. My center's getting movement. My left tackle, my back, this blocking combination. This is what good coaching and adjustments are about in this league. If you're getting movement, then you keep running the football. If you're not, what are you doing? You're just like, oh, well, we got to have balance. No, not this game. You can't have balance because you can't move anybody. You can't run the football. Try something else. Get the ball to the outside. Short passing game. Have an answer. Have an adjustment. You don't have to have balance every single game. You want generally, yes, philosophically speaking, everybody wants balance. But if you can't move anybody, it's also a matchup game. It's a matchup league, right? You play the number 1 and 2 defenses against the run, and you can't run the football because you have an average offensive line that doesn't move anybody in the run game. They don't. So you should know going into this game, it's going to be tough sledding. What's our answer? Well, the answer is get guys open downfield. They did that. They missed them.
You missed throws, missed all kinds of throws. And I just wonder if there was a better running back. People keep on talking about Rashard Penny, and it's been mentioned on CBSSports.com. What about a Derrick Henry, $6.8 million expiring contract? He is 30 years old, but let's put Derrick Henry behind this line. Do you think he's successful? Do you think this offense is successful? I think they could be. But the problem is
they're going to give it away Derrick Henry.
But what are you going to give up? Well, the Titans may be out of it. What are you going to give up? Are you going to pay half of that salary? Are you going to pay most of that salary?
You got to give up draft capital to get him. What are they going to give him away for pennies? No, they're not. No, that's just
he's 30 years old. I mean, he's not going to get any younger. He still has lots of miles on those tires, so it's not like you're going to give up a first-round pick, maybe a second, maybe a third-round pick. Are you willing to give up a third or fourth-round pick for a running back like Derrick Henry if he gives you an opportunity not only to win this division, but possibly go a little further in the playoffs?
You're not giving up anything of value right now in the rebuilding process for a running back. No, it's just stupid. It's like Scott said yesterday, you got to give up draft capital. That's a future player at a low price, right? You don't want to do that. Any significant draft capital. Then you got to pay the guy, which you have no cap space to pay the guy.
Sure.
You have no, and then you got a 30-year-old running back. I mean, that's just the dumbest thing ever. So no, Derrick Henry, not Rashad Penny. Yes. No draft capital, very little draft capital given up. He doesn't make much money. You bring him in, and that he can give you some juice in the running game this year. There's a lot of guys out there like that, that are sitting on a depth chart, waiting to get their shot. And you just don't like it. This is why, 40 times. And some of these things for running backs are such a misnomer. I don't care. Let me see their production. Let me see how they run the ball in college. Let me see how against good defensive lines. Let me see them make people miss after contact. These are guys like Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce, every time I saw him play at Florida, I went, damn, why is that guy not getting more touches? You can't tackle that sumbitch. You can't. Every time he touches the ball, he produces. He just, he's that's vision. Well, he runs a 4 or 5. Well, I don't even know what his 40 time was, but people look at it's like, no, A-Chain, look, the fastest guy in the draft, you give him a open space like he has in that Dolphins offense, just give him just a sliver and it works. It's not going to work everywhere because they're, every team can't open up the field like the Miami Dolphins do because of their ridiculous passing game. You got to defend the whole field because of their ridiculous speed. That's not something that the Bucs have available to them. So it's got to be a good fit. But right now, the two backs that are running here are not a good fit.
Well, you got Trey Palmer, but you can't get him the ball. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You got Trey Palmer, who was wide open. I mean, if you start hitting those long passes down the field, then defenses start to go back and rethink about putting extra men in the box to stop the run game or stop you altogether. So you got to hit those. You got to hit those big plays. You have speed on this team. They have speed. They just and it goes back to also play calling. I get it. He's a first-year play caller. And a lot of fans bring this up, the fact that when you go against a good team or a great team like the Lions and the Eagles, it seems like the play calling gets a little bit conservative, whether that's, not having the experience or, the defense basically game planning for your best plays. I don't know what it is, but the adjustments in that game also are not very good too. And we talked about that, how disappointing that was, because overall you would think Todd Bowles has done a hell of a job this year with coaching this team, clock management, and of course, play call and adjustments. And we didn't see any of that last Sunday versus the Lions.
Listen, this is what happens when you go up against a team that's better than you. And right now, the Lions are a tick better than the Buccaneers. But again, the Bucs had every chance to win that game. You got to make plays. We sometimes go over this and we want to blame scheme and we want to blame coaches and we want to blame them. Most of the time it comes down to players. And for some reason on talk shows, people don't blame players enough. I want to blame players. This is a player's loss. They can't run the ball because their offensive line doesn't move anybody and the backs aren't good. Okay, they missed, Baker Mayfield, like he said, self-admittedly sucked. He sucked. You can't miss that many open guys. And it wasn't just his fault. If you look at the tape, it looks like Trey Palmer is slowing down and he's not expecting the ball. He's a young receiver. When you come out of your break, you can't slow down and look. You got to keep your same speed and find the ball. You can't okay, I'm coming out of my break. Let me look around and see what's going on and slow down. No, you come out of your break, you're going to your spot. Then look for the ball. That's professional football. That's another level up. In college, you come to the top of your break, you turn your head around, you may slow down and look for the ball. Can't do that in the NFL. You got to run your route. You got to keep going. Those defensive backs are too good. So keep moving, and that's maybe those are connections right there. So it's not always just on the quarterback, but Baker's got to be better. Mike Evans has to be better. Another big drop by him. His drop percentage this year is 9.8%. That's awful. That is ridiculous. He's better than that. And everybody knows that, but that's killing your team in key situations. If you're going to him 3rd and 1 in the red zone, he's getting an OPI or on a 3rd down and he's dropping big passes or dropping touchdowns. It's going to kill your team. You only get so many opportunities.
And this coming off of social media, as we're going to go to a break here in just a little bit, the Titans are expected to explore trade options for Derrick Henry at the trade deadline. Henry turns 30 in January. His time as a top running back in the league will likely be coming to a close soon. The Titans plan on working with Henry to get him to a contender to finish off his career. And while you say rebuild, I feel like the Bucs are not necessarily rebuilding because you sign a Baker Mayfield. You still have Mike Evans on this roster because if you were truly rebuilding, you would trade a Mike Evans. You would get rid of some of this veteran talent, and they haven't done that. So I don't necessarily think the Bucs are in a rebuild. And as much as I would say it's not as far-fetched as you think, if you start to struggle running back situation, maybe you do make that call. I don't know what the answer is because
they don't. First of all, they don't have the salary cap room to do it, and I'm not opening up salary cap room for a 30-year-old back that is slow to the hole. We don't have the offensive line or the running game that the Titans have or the commitment to it. He's a great back. I get it. But he's a 30-year-old back. That's when I talk about rebuilding, I'm talking about rebuilding towards a Super Bowl, not a total tear down and rebuild. The Bucs they're not winning a Super Bowl. They're not ready to win a Super Bowl this year.
Right.
Their defensive and offensive lines aren't to that level yet.
Not yet.
So you're building back, and you need resources to build back. You need high draft picks to build back along the offensive and defensive line. They need a premium pass rusher. They need another good offensive lineman in the interior. They need some things. They're going to need another receiver because they're not going to pay Mike Evans what he wants. So these are things they have to need. You can't go waste money and resources on a 30-year-old running back. Just can't. And I don't even think he would work in this system anyway. He'd be caught behind the line, nowhere to go because they're not moving anybody. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk to Joe Madden, talk some gambling, Sports Grid TV. We will get into some Bolts, some Bucks, some college football, all kinds of fun stuff. So stay with us. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. For any of your legal needs, especially if your car has been totaled in an accident, they will find out if you got a good deal. If you did not, you may be able to get some payback there. So call the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com, and Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. To lose weight, get your testosterone right, or just get healthy, BAMMC.com. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show on this hump day. We'll be at the patio on Friday night, 5 to 7 o'clock. Peter and I will be there. We'll have some tickets to give away, some T-shirts to give away, $4 White Claw seltzers, $4 White Claw vodka, great happy hour, and the weather's going to be great. So under the palm trees on the great deck out there, the inside bar, whatever you want to do, it's the patio where everybody comes to meet and watch football. 421 South McDill will be there on Friday night. Come join us from 5 to 7 o'clock. All right, we want to welcome in Joe Madden from Joe Madden Sports, on-air host and analyst for Sports Grid TV. Pocket with Joe. How are you, Joe? How are you? What's going on?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing today? It's a beautiful Thursday morning up here in YYC.
Where are you coming from?
Calgary, Alberta. So I always call it YYC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Calgary, Alberta.
Oh, nice.
I was there in 2004 for the Lightning's infamous Game 6 win in double overtime. You were probably just a baby back then. It was one of the there were two moments in my sports career where I heard a stadium go be so loud and then so quiet, and that was the Swamp in 1993, the Warwick Dunn play, and then Game 6 in Calgary, double overtime, right before Marty St. Louis scored, and that place just went.
Oh, yeah. The air would have been sucked right out of the building, right?
That was crazy. It was crazy. All right, so the Bolts are off to a sluggish start. I know you do a lot of gambling and predictions on hockey. What's your take on the Bolts right now?
The defense really needs to make some adjustments. I don't know if they need some movement on these lines and pairing these defensive players differently, but their inability to really stop anyone, the shots they're allowing on goal right now is not a good thing. And then you look at offensively, this team, Braden Point, I'm going to pick on just for a second here. Yes, he had 3 shots on goal last night, but versus the Sens, he only had 1 shot on goal. This team offensively isn't taking those shots. And yes, while you want to look for those quality shots, get some high danger shots out there, at one point, you just got to start shooting and hope for some puck luck. It's atrocious what we're seeing, the lack of shots on goal for this team. And I think there's time to turn around, right?
Oh, yeah.
We started the road trip with a road trip. It was a hard one for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They need to make these adjustments back at home and get things going right, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at it, I mean, how does Vegas view the Tampa Bay Lightning? Do they still view them as a Stanley Cup contender here with even Vasilevsky missing 2 months? How do you think they view him, Joe?
Yeah, they absolutely still do. We know the Tampa Bay Lightning will get everything clicking here. This team has so much talent and is so strong. Stamkos day-to-day right now. Hopefully he's able to get back in the lineup. And like you said, with Vasilevsky out until probably American Thanksgiving, if not a little bit longer, it's going to be a hard road for this team. But Johannes is a solid goalie, and we look at all the shots that are being taken on him. He needs some more support from the guys up front in front of him. And this team has every opportunity to make it. We know last season that awful way that they went out. And I think that this season they will go into the playoffs kind of with a different mindset. I think teams that really ease into the playoffs, they get a huge awakening. As to say when they first start the playoff round, because they take it kind of lightly. They've had such an easy season. And I think with the start to this season and with how they were eliminated last season, this team still has every hopes to make the playoffs. And I would expect them to at least get to the second round next season.
Yeah, you know, I think this is such a work in progress with this team because of all the new faces they brought in, you know, from Connor Sheary to DeHaan to all these new guys. And that takes away, it takes time. I think they only have 8 guys that remain from the last cup. So it's been a roster overhaul, not just this year, but the last 2 years. And to get them, for Cooper to get them the way they need to play, which, as you mentioned, is much more defensive minded, with Vasilevsky out and them making some shifts defensively in their system. I just think it's going to take a little bit of time. Is that fair?
Yeah, it really is fair. And I hope when Vasilevsky comes back in, he starts off hot out of the gate, because we know Vasilevsky coming into the season normally shows a couple of struggles, and the defense will have to get get really going here before he comes back in. And we will see that because they're going to have so much time on the ice before he does come in. He's going to have that protection in front of the net because your goalie is only as good as your guys right in front of you. And he will need that coming back from injury here. But I do think so many new elements. It takes these guys a little bit of time to get used to each other on those lines. And I do think defensively, though, there needs to be some adjustments. I don't know what's happening out there with these defensive lineups, but I'm not loving what I'm seeing. And them again losing to the Sabres, and the Sabres getting off to a hot start last night. 2 goals for the Sabres, and the Lightning not answering back with even one in that first period. That is uncalled for. So we should have seen more out of the Lightning. But again, they weren't taking those shots on goal. And there's puck luck in hockey. Take those shots and try to get it done.
Absolutely.
You saw that puck luck, and before the third period ended there with Pointer shooting the puck there and then getting the rebound from Hagel. Talk about his game a little bit, leading the team right now with 4 goals. I mean, again, Joe, this is the reason why you trade a first-round pick in the first place to the Blackhawks, because he is so talented. And at first, when he came in, it was hard for him to, kind of get used to the lineup, get used to everything. But now it certainly seems like he's a little bit more comfortable here with this team, right?
Yeah, Hagel's looking so impressive out there. Scoring only 2 goals last night. He scored both of them, and he looked fantastic. And the books aren't catching up to Hagel. Well, they hadn't as of last night. You could get him for his shots on goal and that anytime goal with great plus money. So he's definitely someone to look for. Hopefully the books don't catch up on him right away. He's just not that known name yet for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but phenomenal game out there. And I love what he's doing. He's definitely the shining star right now for you guys.
So, Joe, when you're talking hockey wagering, what do you look for? What is your philosophy? And you just mentioned like Hagel, the league hasn't caught up with them yet. Do you look for emerging players that are doing well and maybe the price hasn't caught up with them? Tell me a little bit about your betting philosophy.
Yeah, I absolutely do. And especially when you start looking at shots on goal for these players, I think Hagel going into this game had 6 shots on goal versus the Ottawa Senators, yet to score that goal. And then they come into these games in the books because no one's talking about them. They're not the shiny, bright spot in the media like you'd get for Stamkos. You're getting so much value. So you got to look at those players that also play well against certain teams. And you look at you guys facing the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow night. You guys play really hard against the Vancouver Canucks. So looking at those certain players, if Stamkos is back in the lineup, definitely still value in him for those goals. We know he comes hard versus the Canucks, and it should be a nice win for you guys bringing it back home. So keeping my fingers crossed in that regards, but looking at the goaltenders, looking at how they do versus those teams as well. Hockey's really interesting. It's one of those sports where those trends really do stay true to form.
Speaking of Stamkos, what do you make of that whole situation? Because he could be up for a contract extension. They haven't gotten anything done yet. What's the national perspective? What have you heard about that situation getting done with the Tampa Bay Lightning going forward?
It's going to get done. They're not going to let him go. That'd be crazy to let Stamkos go. And I know he's getting up there in age for a hockey player, but Stamkos is going to stick around with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they like to draw a little bit of, I don't know, what do you call it? Not attention around it, but just draw it out a little bit, get more media coverage on it, get a lot more people talking about what's happening just to be in the press. So I think Stamkos will 100% be signed up.
All right, you got any good picks for tonight or tomorrow night in the Lightning game?
Oh, tomorrow in the Lightning game, yeah. I absolutely have to look at you guys. The Canucks haven't been able to win any of the last 6 meetings versus you. And we look at them, they were able to win those first 2 games over Edmonton. They were so prepared to face the Edmonton Oilers. So I love to see that. We know they're coming off that loss in their last game out, and I do think they lose this one here to you guys as well. So I would be looking at Hagel again. I'd be looking at his shots on goal, and I'd look at Braden Point as well to start getting those shots on goal. One thing the books have really caught up on is the shots on goal, and you're having to lay a lot of juice. So one thing I've been playing around with is taking 2 or 3 players and just parlaying that 3+ shots on goal to get some positive plus money on their player props. Johannes, I think you can look at him here for his save shots on goal, because honestly, you guys, what the defense is doing, allowing all of these shots to come raining in, I really do think his number should be a pretty nice one here to go over 29-30 save shots on goal as well.
That is a good bet. I like that. I'm writing this down, by the way, Joe.
All
So
right, I know you got to
make any money on this, I'll send you some flowers or a nice little cut. I'm sure you
I always
prefer
love flowers.
Flowers or cash. You probably like cash, right?
Tulips are my favorite. They're nice and cheap as well.
All right, before you get, I bet I can detect a little French accent there, right? You speak French,
it's
right?
okay. So I was actually born in Australia, so it's my Australian accent that I try to like mask and hide, and sometimes the words just don't want to come out. Especially it's 8:45 in the morning here.
Right. Oh,
I'm on one cup of coffee, and yeah. The accent
we thank you for getting up early. What's the weather like up there? I mean, it's a chilly 58 when I woke up this morning. My God, we didn't even want to leave the house today. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's about the same. Yeah, it's about the same here, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. There's none of that dreaded four-letter S word. And it's not in the forecast till late next week. So keeping my fingers crossed, because I'm headed up to the Heritage Classic at the end of the month between Edmonton and Calgary, and it's outdoors. It's going to be cold.
All right, Joe, tell everybody how they can get your content. Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find all of my work over at SportsGrid TV, and then you can follow myself personally at Joe Madden Sports on all social media.
All right, cool. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate your time, and thanks for the bets too. I'm gonna get on that tomorrow night. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck, you guys. All the best.
All right, thanks, Joe Madden there. Follow her on Twitter. Great follow and make some money.
Yeah.
All right, quick break. When we come back, Leo Haggerty will join us. We're going to talk some USF football. Things are getting ugly. Things are getting ugly out on Fowler Avenue. What the hell's going on over there? And they another bad omission to their Hall of Fame class. We'll talk about that when we come back. We're brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road. Get on over there and start shopping for the holidays, folks. It'll be here before you know it. Get the great prices, the great selection. You can finance that. And of course, they have their diamond savings guarantee. Whatever you pay for your diamond, you will get back when you upgrade. So check them out at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Back at 3 with Leo.
Coins sitting around the house. Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday, great hump day as we are here, as we run through talking some bucks, some bolts, as we do each and every day. Tampa Bay sports galore here. Let's welcome in our good friend Leo Haggerty, who covers USF football for Amped Up Sports. I can't even hear that, Peter. Was that the USF football?
Yes, that was a USF. Absolutely, yes. Out right there. Yes.
What's up, Leo? How you doing, buddy?
You know what, JP? I was fine, but I have to issue a complaint. Okay.
No, please do. The complaint department is always open.
Okay. You have me following a beautiful woman with a come love me accent that knows hockey. I'll bet there are 50 marriage proposals going out to Australia right now. Come on. At least give me a chance here, guys.
You know what? We're all about the content here, bro. It's because you can tell. Look at us. This is not a beauty contest. So people don't come here for the beauty. They come here clearly they come here for the information, my friend. So
well, absolutely.
You bring the information, baby. That's all they care about. That's all they want.
Yep, because if you're bringing me on, it ain't for the profile. Let me try that.
You got to do your other profile where you do the.
Listen, okay, that's
all right, we're done. Let's talk debacle, okay?
There's other Listen, porn is free. They know where to get it. They're not coming here for that. So it's all information. Yeah. Yep. All right, listen. We know what's ugly is this this USF defense. Oh my God. Listen, all the good feelings from the win over Navy and anything they've done well this year have gone out the door. They've lost back. They've been blown out back to back by 2 very average, if not bad, football teams. What the hell happened at USF?
I'll tell you what, JP. First half, they're down 21-14, but they're not playing real well on defense. There are guys open all over the place, and this guy's throwing balloons. I mean, it's not like he's the quarterback for FAU is zipping the ball. I mean, he's throwing it up there, and I'm thinking, okay, somebody's going to pick. Well, geez, there's nobody in the area. So, I mean, this was – and then the second half, they couldn't find the end zone with a map. So it was a breakdown on offense the second half, and the defense just couldn't stop. And you know what, JP? The last 2 games, we are looking at that defense we saw last year, where they would just look around and think and not react. Navy, They were flying to the football. Alabama, they were flying. Now they're not, and that's got to change.
What is it? I mean, you're down 21-14. Is it communication breakdowns? Is it coverage? I mean, what is it? Because this defense could not get off the field, once again. And it sounds familiar with the Bucs on Sunday versus the Lions, but on those third down situations, you can't get off the field. You're giving up too many explosive plays. I mean, what is it now? Why is this defense, Leo, regressed so badly since Alabama?
Well, 2 things. They're giving up a lot of yards on first down. They are not keeping teams behind the chains. And if you can keep teams 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11, now they got to throw the football, and they couldn't do that. And secondly, they're not tackling well right now. And the way teams spreads you out now all over the place, if you miss the tackle, it's going to be an explosive play. It just matters for how explosive it's going to be.
All right, what does Golesh have to do to get this thing going again? This is I mean, we were talking about, oh, they're easily going to be bowl eligible. Look at the rest of their schedule. I mean, they're the ones that everybody's looking at now as the automatic W. How's he get this thing back on track?
Well, you bring up a great point there, JP. Connecticut's looking at this game as a win for them.
Exactly.
And, if you look at Connecticut's schedule, the last 2 games, they played Utah State even up. They had an extra point block, lose by a point. They go down 14-0 to Rice, come back and win, and they had a bye week last week. So you got a team that's rested and ready to go. It's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy up in Connecticut, where, this team doesn't play well north of the Mason-Dixon line. We know that. He needs to get it together. I'll tell you one thing, JP, he may need to consider. Slow that offense down a little bit. I don't think Brown has a grasp of it yet. And if you look at the first half, when they were down 21-7, they slowed it down because they wanted to eat clock and, moved it right down the field, 21-14. So they may want to slow this thing down, but I'll tell you another thing. They need to establish the run early. They don't need to come out. Their first series of the game, 3 incomplete passes. They took 14 seconds off the clock. Boy, I'll tell you what, that sends a message to your defense. Boy, you better play now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a positive coming out of the game. Nyquan Wright with another 100-yard rushing game. I mean, what do you see from the young man here? Of course, transfer from Florida. Really set the tone versus Alabama there with the truck stick hit. What do you see from Wright?
Yeah, and, Coach Golish brought it up. He says, he's practicing better every day. And I asked him, I said, hey, Coach said you're practicing better. What are you doing? And he said, you know what? I'm taking ownership of this position. It's mine. And, I'm the running back. I need to be the guy to go out there and make this happen. And I'll tell you what, they need to cut down on Byron Brown's runs because he's taken a lot of really useless hits. So, again, Nyquan Wright, that's a big plus. Get him the ball early. Get him in a rhythm. Again, he was in a rhythm on the games they won. That's the key. Get your running backs in a rhythm.
What did Coach Golish think of Tom Herman and the onside kick at that point, going for 60? I mean, what a slap in the face. I get it. FAU is trying to create some type of rivalry at this point, and it certainly seems like it favors FAU. But what did Coach Golish think of that move by Herman?
Peter, what he said was all the right things. That look, hey, I can't fault him. He can do what he wants to do, but I can guarantee you when they play them next year, there will be a reel in the locker room, and that's all that'll be running, that onside kick next to the score. You never want to give a team a reason to put up bulletin board material. And I think I know what Coach Herman was doing. Hey, the only way to create a rivalry is to create hate. And you know what? That's hate right there.
Yeah, and 60 creates buzz, too, for your team. It looks good. It looks good in recruiting. You can always say, we don't want to hang 60 on somebody like we did USF. So it's always part of it. Yeah, and I agree with you. The problem is that's Alex Golesh's go-to card. I run the fastest offense in football, and we snap a ball every 13 seconds. That's his go-to thing. That's his identity as a play caller. So for him to back off of that is going to be tough. But I agree with you. When your defense is getting gassed like that and you're playing you got to give them a blow. You got to give them some time to recoup and figure out what the hell's going on. If you just keep sending them back out there, when you got 14 seconds off the clock, that's not fair to your defense. It's not fair to your defense coordinator. It's not fair to anybody. So, like I said earlier in the show, there are philosophies that you take into games. There are game plans that you take into games, but the great coaches know how to adjust. And if your best laid plans are not working, you better have enough lack of ego to get out of that plan and try something different. And a lot of coaches can't do that. I wonder if Golesh can.
You know what? I think he can, JP, because he mentioned in his presser yesterday that, it all starts with me and stops with me. That's with the wins and the losses. He takes blame. But what he said that really caught my attention, he goes, we got to get better on first down. Yeah. We cannot play with tempo and be second and 10, second 11. Yeah. We have got to be second and 6 because when we are second and 10, second 11, it's pass and everybody knows it. So, they got to keep this thing a little bit balanced. So I look for the Connecticut game for them to run the football. The first 2 possessions on offense and defense are going to be critical for USF. They've got to go down. And he said this we play with tempo for a reason. We got to get points. If we don't get points, the tempo comes back and bites us. That's that double-edged sword, that 14-second, possession. We got no points. Our defense has to come back on the field. And the defense has to come out, and they got to tackle, and they got to stop somebody.
Yeah, they got to get after the passer, and you can't get down 14-0. And it certainly seems like, this year USF has been plagued by their slow starts, right?
Yeah, they came back from Navy, and they just, you got to get the lead because tempo only works with the lead. If you're tempo behind, we saw it was 21-14. And I'll tell you what, that middle 8, the 4 minutes before the end of the first half and the 4 minutes at the beginning of the second half, that has just crucified USF. It's 21-14. FAU comes out right down the field, 28-14. Now you're pressing. These are young kids. They don't know. Guess what, guys? There's still 28 minutes left in the game. That means we're going to get the ball 4, 5, maybe 6 more times. Just relax. And they didn't. Guys, I think that defense is just playing uptight, that they're looking around and they're afraid to make a mistake. Make a mistake of commission, not omission. Yep. They're omitting, and that's the key. Fly to the football.
You're around the program a lot. Do you feel like they're still upbeat over there? Do they seem like they're still positive, or do they seem like the last couple losses here have been very disappointing? How do you feel about, or what are you taking from the program itself?
The losses are disappointing only because they started to set the bar a little higher.
Right.
Guys, let's be honest. 3-4 back in August, we'd have taken it right now.
Sure.
3-4, they're in a position where they can win 6 and get to a bowl game. Now, winning the conference, that was a pipe dream, and everybody thought about those expectations, especially after as well as they played against Alabama. All of a sudden, man, maybe these guys can win some games. Maybe they can get. Now, you're not going to turn it around that fast. But the expectations are we got to go up to Connecticut and we got to win this football game. If not, now the dike's got multiple leaks and you're out of fingers.
Wow, that'll be the let's put that on the quote board right there, Peter. That's a good one. All right, let's. I got to hit you with this, man, because I found this out yesterday. They announced the new Hall of Fame class for USF. Some very worthy candidates going into their Hall of Fame, but a large omission was that Jim Leavitt name. Last year, Paul Griffin went in, and rightfully so, and Jim Leavitt came back to the Hall of Fame banquet and seemed that the university and Jim, their greatest football coach, arguably the greatest name in their athletics history, took him to number 2 in the nation in the sport that matters, and that's football, was omitted again. And he'll take this as a slap in the face. What are we doing at USF? I mean, why don't you put Paul Griffin in last year? Jim came back for the banquet. Why not put him in this year? How do you screw that up?
JP, I'm asking the same question. How do you screw that up? Again, I thought last year when he came back for the banquet that all was forgiven. And you know what? This guy, he took a dead program. I mean, it wasn't even alive.
Yeah.
He brought it from the grave. He got it to number 2 in the country. Think about that.
In less than 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. They went from Division 6 or 5 or 4 all the way up.
Division trailer park.
Right, in a trailer. They had no office building, and they got to number 2 in the country. What are you waiting for? Now, I'll tell you what. If they miss out on this boat next year.
Oh, he may not be. Yeah.
He may not show up.
Yeah.
He may not show up. That's like, come on. The first coach, and he was successful. Yeah. Did he make a mistake? Sure. But you know what? Nobody died. Let's be honest.
I mean, that stuff, let's be honest. That stuff happens all the time in college football. And, the part that, probably didn't handle it the best way when it came out. But again, those are mistakes that should not cost guys his job. Should not cost. You ruined the program. You freaking the guy. I mean, we could sit here. You just lost to FAU and UAB. You've had 3 wins in 3 years. This dude had you at number 2 in the effing country. Was packing the stadium. You were averaging 50,000 fans a game. Alabama offered him the head coaching job, for God's sakes, and the guy said no. He said no. And some idiot athletic director and administration is going to take this stupid incident and run with it because you had a few stupid boosters that were squawking and saying Jim Leavitt had reached his ceiling and we need a new voice, idiots. And you had an athletic director at the time that would actually listen to them. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine. Does Jim Leavitt have a couple rough edges? Yes, he does. Yes, he did. Did he maybe need to be, hey man, we need to cool it a little bit? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what good athletic directors do. They have a man-to-man conversation, get people back on the same page. It never should have costed him his job. It never should. You tell the stupid boosters who were getting, so fat and happy, be happy with what you have. The dude just turned down Alabama.
Yeah, and you know what, JP?
And now you're still getting to put him in your Hall of Fame? Come on, USF. God, we want to root for you. We want to be there for you. We want to hug you. But, man, you make it so damn hard sometimes. You just do.
The scary thing was if this conversation didn't even happen this year, that his name didn't even come up.
How does he not get nominated?
Yeah, I was hoping somebody out there would say, hey, how about Jim Leavitt? At least have a conversation. And, JP, you bring up a great point about the AD. All they had to do was to sit down, hey, Jim, just mea culpa.
Yeah.
Tell him you made a mistake.
Yeah.
We'll get rid of this. You may have to sit out a game, but just say, hey, I made a mistake. Look at all the great coaches, right? Hey, Woody Hayes, right? Made a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. You're so far out into that public eye. But you're right. The AD should have said, okay, we need to do this, this, and this, and then I'll have your back. You have your job. And I don't think that ever happened. They just threw him to the wolves.
No, it didn't. Yeah, stupid. All right, Leo, tell everybody how they can get your content, my friend.
Yeah, go to Amped Up Sports 1 on Twitter. And I'll tell you what, guys, just coming on this show, we have 3,400 new views on our website over the past 30 days. We're up to 7,500.
So, beautiful. Yes.
I got to thank you for having me on. The old bones I'm dragging out here, as Coach Cooper said, off the couch. I hope people are listening to the content. And I'll tell you what, I hope to see you Thursday night, JP.
All right, partner. We'll see you there Thursday night as the Bolts welcome in the Vancouver Canucks. Yes.
Have a good one, guys.
Yep. You too, Leo. That's just like I said, man. We want to be in there, just support USF as much as we can, and sometimes just the choices they make, the things that they do, the things that they say.
He turned down Alabama to be loyal. I mean, he had, again, USF at number 2. Just imagine that. USF at the time at number 2.
Yeah.
And damn friggin' Greg Schiano on a Thursday. God, I hate it. And most likely the reason why he got a job in the first place with the Bucks. Think about it.
Boy, that was a bad day in Tampa Bay.
Not only does USF fall, but also you get the greatness of Greg Schiano to be your coach, who, by the way,
toes on the line.
Yeah, toes on the line. Temperature change. I mean, all the stories are just
crazy, man.
Yes.
All right, we got to hit a break, and also the King Henry rumors are heating up. Derrick Henry to the Buccaneers. I'm not a big fan of the move, but maybe you could talk me into it. If they eat all the salary and it's a 4th round pick, maybe. Yeah, why not? Okay.
I told you.
I'm in for that. Nothing more than a 4th. They want a 3rd rounder? Nah.
You know what it's like? It's like Bananas Foster at halftime in the press box.
Yeah, you regret it later.
But you
All
got to
right.
go for it. You're going to
Quick
regret.
break. We'll be at the patio on Friday night, 5 to 7 o'clock for our Friday night football party. Get you ready for the weekend. Come join us. 421 South McDill, the greatest place to watch all your football games, including Wednesday night hockey and Wednesday night baseball. Head on down there for that happy hour each and every day from 3 to 7:30. So come join us Friday night at the patio, the best place to watch football or any other sporting event. Everybody meets at the patio. All right, stay with us. Back in a couple. Harry the Greek's going to join us. We're going to make some picks and a great quote from today's NCAA hearing. Stay with us.
Do you have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
And welcome back on a Wednesday here to the JP Peterson Show, along with Peter Blake, as we do each and every day here, Monday through Friday, bringing you the best in Tampa Bay sports. We've hit all the major topics today. We're going to get to Harry the Greek here and give you some picks here in just a little bit. I want to hit this story real quick. So this morning, the NCAA was on Capitol Hill. Not like there's anything more important going on right there. We got to talk about this. But I just love
It's distraction, right? I mean, are you joking? This is what they're doing over there in Capitol Hill? This is what they're doing?
Yeah.
With possibly World War III going on over there in the Middle East?
Well, hey, listen, Joe Biden's on his way over there. So we're in great shape.
There you go.
The Babylon Bee tweeted out today. Joe Biden
going over there, an Iron Man.
Over to Israel to preside over the opening ceremonies of World War III. Take your stock out of Apple, put it into all the war stocks you could possibly put it into. If he makes it back, I'll be shocked. Say hello to your new commander-in-chief, Kamala Harris.
God.
The puppeteers are well on their way to bringing us to World War III. Isn't that great? Isn't that
the
fantastic?
industrial complex lives, doesn't it?
It's just unbelievable to see what's going on right now, and nobody can stop it. And the Republicans don't even have a House Speaker. You imagine if something were to happen to Biden right now, going over into the most dangerous part of the world, where security is going to be at a minimum. Kamala Harris is going to be the commander in chief at this time in the world. The woman can't even put together a sentence. That woman, that babbling idiot, is going to be the commander in chief and president of the free world, the leader of the free world. If something were to happen to Joe Biden, what a great idea for him to go over there right now. Whose idea was that?
Well, you have Joe Biden already.
This babbling idiot is going to be in charge, and there's not even a Speaker of the House who's third in charge.
Yeah.
Have we ever been in a worse situation and wherever your politics are, folks? This is a disaster. I don't. The dude in charge is not in charge. We know that. He's certainly not running the country.
Well, you can't even put any sentences.
Babbling idiot he is, and then the one behind him is just even worse. And this is who's run. And first of all, if you think these are the two people running the free world, you are a complete freaking idiot. And so ask yourself, who is running this government? Who is running the world? And what exactly are they doing? And why are they doing it? And why is all this crazy shit happening in the past few years? You think it's for your best interest? No, folks, it's not. No. It's not even close.
No.
So buckle up. Anyway, so here's what's really happening on Capitol Hill that you need to know about. Charlie Baker, the former Republican governor of Massachusetts, let's get more bureaucrats involved, is now running the NCAA instead of Mark Emmert, I guess. He's now the new NCAA president. So he's up there trying to get an antitrust exemption so they can a limited liability protection, which basically means they can keep their indentured servants, the athletes, from making any money. And they bring up all these people like, athletic directors and everybody else and coaches who have been making the money and exploiting these athletes for years and years. But there was just one person on the dais that actually was representing the athletes. And thank God for Senator Kennedy, John Kennedy up there from Louisiana, and Senator Josh Hawley. Those guys at least know a little bit about what's going on. Kennedy of Louisiana, who knows a little bit about college athletics with LSU. And the NCAA's what they have a problem with is the Supreme Court's unanimous 2020 ruling, Alston versus the NCAA, which allowed schools to provide additional educational related benefits to their athletes, pay them. So this is what Kennedy said to all these mostly white bureaucrats, old white men who have been benefiting and exploiting these athletes forever. He said, let me see if I can do my best Kennedy accent. Isn't this fight over the fact that the kids are now getting some of the money that the adults were getting before? I've got a lot of sympathy for the kids. The adults seem to be able to take care of themselves, but it is the kids that make all of this possible, correct? Greatest quote ever. Isn't this a fight over the fact that the kids are now getting some of the money that the adults were getting before? Yes, that's exactly what it's about. And it's exactly about these people that have been keeping the money and paying themselves millions and millions and millions of dollars while the players weren't even allowed to accept a hamburger from a booster. Imagine that. Imagine what they got away with for 50 years.
Yeah.
And now they have the balls to go up to Capitol Hill and try to get some stupid ass antitrust exemption that gives them the power back and takes it away from the athletes that have finally gotten some power and some money. You people should be ashamed of yourself. Well, we have to protect the non-revenue sports. All of these the way the college model has worked for so long.
Yeah.
Players are getting money now, and somehow the whole system hasn't collapsed. Shocking development. Shocking development. Isn't the problem the fact that now the kids are getting some of the money that the adults used to get? That's the problem, and they don't like it. So we need to come up here and pander to you, the Congress people, to get our power back, and to some people just have no shame. Speaking of which, let's bring in Harry the Greek.
Well, before we get to that, our superstar here,
yes,
on the JP Peterson Show, had an interview with FanDuel Sports on one of his picks this week. Let's go ahead and go out to that real quick.
We're here in the Keeneland room where a lot of VIPs take betting very seriously, and I have found no one other than Harry the Greek, I've been told is your name.
Absolutely. It's Harry the Greek. How are you?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Now tell me some of the bets you have for today.
Oh, for sports with FanDuel? Unbelievable. I got some really good upsets this week. I actually played the Bears in the money line, and my upset special is the New York Jets.
Oh, got a sleeper. I like it. Okay, what about for the horse racing today?
A lot of pick fives, pick fours. We're having a fabulous time out here with Keeneland. And I'll tell you what, it's great to be part of DVG and FanDuel.
I love to hear that. And so for anyone that's maybe at home that's new to sports betting at all, what advice would you want to give them?
The one bit of advice, I actually give it out on my podcast at the end. Keep your bets low and your returns high. That's the most important things. Always stay within your means, but always keep your bets low and your returns high.
Definitely like that safe betting for sure. All right, well, thank you so much and good luck today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Back to you all.
All right, so there you go, right there.
Wow, look at that guy.
Yeah. How about
Who's
that
guy?
Right. Who is that guy at the end of the day? Let's go out to Mr. Harry the Greek right there.
Huh? Where?
You come on my show and you don't wear a tie?
What?
You come
let's talk about Bidenomics. What? Huh? What? Kamala? What's her name? Hey, hold on.
Bidenomics.
Hang on. What's her name from California? The old hag that's going to be president. What's her name? Oh, Nancy. I'm dancing on a Pelosi. Oh, that's it.
No, she can't.
JP, how the hell are you doing, guys? Gentlemen, welcome back.
What's up, bro? Where's the tie? You should go up on FanDuel. You're wearing a coat and tie.
That was
show
all
up on my show in a polo. What are we doing here? What? Because I don't have the assets that young lady had that was interviewing you.
You talk about assets, bro. Listen, if you watch it again off air, you're gonna laugh because
when you're doing an interview with the woman, eyes up, okay?
Dude, I tried. Are you kidding me? That was last year's.
You did a good job, actually.
Brother, you don't understand. It was last year's Miss Kentucky. I did not know that. I had a and I look over at my wife and I was like, "Hey, baby, Paul passed," and she goes, "Yeah, what the hell? Go ahead." I got the bomb for the wife.
I think, yeah, you do, as do I. I think, I don't know.
We had a great time.
I think she was pretty safe that you weren't going to be whisked away by the young lady from Kentucky.
That's true. But anyway, I had a great time at Keeneland. I'll tell you what, if you've never been to Keeneland Horse Track in Lexington, first off, it's not open very often. It rivals Saratoga. For all the horse bettors that are out there, Saratoga is an incredible venue. But this particular venue, everything's in mahogany, wood, brass, gold.
I love that.
And it's just the characteristics of the track. The bones of it are just unbelievable. But get this, JP.
I love that old stuff. Love it.
JP, get this, JP. They had us in a room called the Keeneland Room. And the Keeneland Room, there's multiple clubhouses within there. And you can't get in without a suit and tie. Women can show no midriff. I mean, it's just really old-fashioned, very, very uppity type of place. But this particular room seats about 25 people. They only open it up once a year. And get this, it was built for the Queen of England.
Wow.
So when she came to go view her horses and not visit with the commoners, I'm not kidding you, man. It was unbelievable. When we get together, I got to show you the rest of the pictures.
They built a room just for the Queen to view her studs?
No, just for the Queen. I kid you not. And I'm like, what the hell? It was unbelievable. But I'll tell you what, it's a fabulous
freaks,
time.
Man, that royal family, they're a bunch of freaks.
You are not kidding.
They are freaks.
You are not kidding.
Behind the scenes,
Yep.
she needs her own room to view her horse studs.
I think.
I don't know.
Hang on. Maybe she's hanging out
I
with
think I
Joe.
know my history about some of these royal ladies and horses, but I'll just let that go.
Well, nothing personal. When the eyes start to cross and you're talking to the offspring, you know what happened, okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Pretty soon they'll be saying.
And people are still like, oh, there's a royal wedding. Oh my God, there's a success. King Charles is going. Oh, I gotta watch this. I'm like, for what?
Who gives a shit?
Who gives a rat's ass? These people. Well, unfortunately, they have more power than I thought.
Yeah, but seriously,
who needs to be king of England when you can be running
could you
the world?
imagine building a room, okay, for one person so that she could view her horses that are racing that particular day? What?
Privilege.
But I'll tell you what, it was a beautiful room. It was
a beautiful
everything.
room.
Everything was.
You'll
covered.
never be allowed back in after we just trashed the whole thing here. But
that's true.
Okay.
Former New York Met Paul LaDuca was hanging at the table with us.
Paul LaDuca,
yep,
nice,
awesome, very very good sports handicapper. I'm sorry, very good horse handicapper. Sports I really don't know much about. I wouldn't want to say he was a sports handicapper. That would just be an alleged thing to say. But an extraordinary horse handicapper, owns horses. Had a really good time with him out there as well. But it was really good. And FanDuel and TVG actually put it all together, and it was another event that I was invited to.
Cool. Very nice. Well, congrats on that. That was really cool. And you made your Jets pick right there too.
Yeah, I did. Actually, I had a pretty decent week.
That was before the game, right? Or was that after the game?
No, that was before the game.
Right.
I actually there was other parts of the interview that you didn't get to see when we were talking about different picks, and that was with NBC Sports. And when we were talking about, I had 5 upsets, and 3 of them came in. The 2 that didn't come in, well, obviously was Tampa Bay. I thought that they were going to go ahead and cover. I did not like the way they played at all, which we can touch on if you like. And the Chicago Bears when Justin Fields went down. But the rookie Tyson Bagent almost brought him back, but he threw an interception, yada, yada, yada. But the whole thing is 3 real deep picks actually won this week that were home underdogs. And Cleveland was one of them, and so were the New York Jets. I had both undefeated teams getting their first loss this week.
Yeah, I was gonna bet Cleveland. I just loved the 9.5, and I wussed out right there at the end.
I took them outright.
Yeah,
I took a money line.
What was the money line on that?
That was just over 3-1.
Wow.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice return. Keep your bets low and your returns high.
Absolutely. And you know what? FanDuel absolutely loved that because they're like, that's responsible gaming. Yes, I know.
Yes, exactly. All right. So, we could talk about that Bucks loss because I had them as well. And it's funny. You handicap a game and you miss it terribly, as I did. But you say to yourself, you hit 2 of those 3 deep balls. It's a completely different game. We want to break down all the coaching and the scheming and all this other stuff and make these great generalities. And 95% of these games come down to players making plays or not making plays. You're in great position there, Neil, at the end of the game to knock the ball away and you don't even look at it. And, it becomes a 45-yard touchdown. You have TP wide open twice deep down the field and you don't put the air under the ball for him to even make a play on it. So there's plays to be made. Mike Evans is dropping big passes again, but you don't make them. I mean, the Bucks they shut down the Lions' running game, which I thought was the key to the game, and they
Do you know what the second key was?
Get some pressure on Goff, and they didn't do it.
No, and this is where I'd like to thank you for the segue because they did what they set out to do. They stopped Lions running game. If you stop the Lions running game, you're essentially stopping the play action pass. But here's where Tampa made the mistake. They only gave up 40 yards on the ground, but 353 yards in the air. And the reason for that is Tampa is putting too much, they're trying to apply too much pressure via the blitz, and they're leaving the middle of the field wide open. And that was the key to the game. If the game wasn't 10-3 going into halftime, you're not abandoning. For some reason, I thought I was looking at BA and some moron from Jacksonville quarterback calling offensive plays because you can't have that kind of imbalance. You have got to run the football,
Harry.
no matter what the case.
You can't. No, you can't.
10-3.
You cannot move if you're not moving anybody up front. Go look at the tape, dude. They're not moving anybody up front, and they got 2 backs that I think are blind. Like I think they both have glaucoma. You can't. You can't continue to just hand the ball off and get
football.
And it's not even there's nothing there. Like the interior line is just Filer, Hainsey, and Mauk are getting no push whatsoever. The tight ends are awful blockers. They don't have one tight end that can block anybody.
That I will agree with you, JP.
So they got major issues. If they're going to run the football, first of all, I think you just take the tight ends off the field. Go 4 wide, and just spread them out as much as you can, and then hand the ball off or toss sweep it or something, because you got there's just nothing. You can't move anybody, and the more people you put in there, the more congested it gets, and the running backs have no choice. They've got to try a completely different scheme because they can't move anybody at the line of scrimmage.
The only thing I will contradict what you're saying is you cannot rush the ball 16 times. Even if you're not getting the success at running the football, JP, you have to respect the run game being on defense. And that's where Detroit didn't respect it. They weren't biting on the play action. They had an off game, and honestly, they looked flat. And I'm not expecting that again. But it's a very similar situation of the way they played the exact same way against Philadelphia. You give your team 7 days
off in a row. Yeah. What do you expect?
I don't know, man, but I'm not expecting the same type of outcome. I was very disappointed. Even if if they would have had 20, 25 runs, I'd say, you know what, you ran the ball. They're not going to bite as much in the play action. None of the DBs and the safeties were peeking into the backfield because they didn't respect it at all. They just knew that they abandoned the game. I thought I was watching a Bruce Arians-led offense where they were going to try to throw the ball 100 times in one game. And you can't do that, especially against
the Lions abandoned the run in the second half. The Lions abandoned the run
because they were picking up the blitz.
That's my point. Is why not? The Bucs needed to do it. You got to adjust in the middle of the game. If you can't run the football, you just can't keep handing it off to Keyshawn Vaughn in 2nd and 10, 3rd and 11. It ain't working.
No,
so you got to adjust.
But how about on defense, JP? If you know that you're not getting to the quarterback and you're blitzing and leaving the middle of the field wide open, and if you are playing zone and you want to play that bend but don't break type of defense from the 20 to 20, you know just as well as I do. When you get to the 20-yard line,
I don't think they were blitzing all the time. And when I looked at the tape, they blitzed on the first 3rd down and got off the field, and then they were sending 5 guys. But to me, it was more about the soft zone behind it. It just to me, play man to man. If you're paying 2 corners $40 million. You got to play man to man. You can't just playing Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean in a soft zone. I can get 4th round corners to do that.
Without question, but you're also going to frustrate a Jared Goff because he's going to want to go down deep, and you're going to force Detroit to make that mistake. The plays that I seen that they were making downfield is they weren't frustrating him at all. When you couldn't get to him, that's when I would have sat back and played in the zone. And believe me, I am a guy that loves pressure. I'm the old school 46 defense. If we're not good enough to go ahead and get to you with a 4-man rush, if we have to send 8, we'll send 8, but we're not going to let you pick us apart. That nothing was working. And you're right. They need to do a better job.
Philosophically, in general, I agree with that. But within that game, you weren't running the football. Do something else.
They got their ass handed to them. Let's just call it what it is. Detroit was just a better football team.
It happens. I don't say they got their ass handed to them. I just didn't make any plays. I always felt like they were in. They could make a couple plays. You get back in this game, they're stopping them. I don't know. It just 3rd down defense was just absolutely non-existent. It was
Mayfield had to hurry on his passes. Yeah. They weren't getting into their breaks quick enough. It was not the game plan that they expected. And Detroit's defensive line dominated that line of scrimmage, and that's what won the football game for them. There's a few other things that I've noticed, but man almighty sakes, they got to get better up front. Keep preaching it. Running 4 wideouts, I don't think Baker will make it the next 2 games if they continue to do that. They have got to come up with a better blocking scheme for this team.
How concerned are you about Baker Mayfield? Because Peter King was suggesting yesterday that he could be on thin ice if this offense continues to struggle. So how concerned are you? Do you care what King has to say?
He's the only one keeping him afloat, for God's sakes.
Can I be honest with you when I say this and not be indicting? And JP, if he's friends of yours, I apologize. I don't give 2 rats' asses what Peter King has to say. Peter King is looking at the same thing that JP, me, and you are watching. Let me tell you something. There is nothing wrong with Baker Mayfield. Okay. As a matter of fact, there's nothing wrong with any quarterback in the National Football League as long as you give them time. They are just trying to cover their ass because these are the same people that are saying this team wouldn't win more than 3 games. Okay, let's be very clear about it, because they're the ones that are going to look like a horse's ass when the team wins 8, 9, 10 ball games at the end of the year. And they're going to say, well, Jesus, I really did a bad job seeing this one. Maybe I didn't see that coming. Baker Mayfield is playing his ass off this year. I did not support the Baker Mayfield move. I wanted Kyle Trask to be the quarterback to start the year. But when I watched him play in game one, I was like, you know what? This guy's playing for a contract, and I got to give where credit's due. You see, I can do that. A lot of the pundits that are out there, they can't do that. They can't admit when they're wrong. There's nothing wrong with the offense other than the fact that they're not calling a correct game and you're not blocking well up front. You do those two things, and you will get 3 more wins consecutively in the row. And you could have beaten the Detroit Lions if you had a better game plan and you got your head out of your ass and you decided you want to block to go ahead, for run blocking. If someone else tells me that they're a better pass blocking team than a run blocking team, I'm going to go throw up. It's easier to run block than it is to pass block, so you have a poor scheme. JP, I'll let you take that one. I'm done ranting.
Well, they are number 1 in the league in sacks allowed.
Mm-hmm.
It's the number one thing I think they are a better pass blocking team than they are a run blocking team.
But it's not easy.
They can't run block.
No, but it's not easy to pass block. It's easier to run block. That's the point I was trying to make.
Well, generally speaking, but it depends on the player. It depends on the player. And I think this line should, with Gedeke, who's a big, strong guy, and Wirfs, who's a big, strong guy. Those two guys, the other 3 guys are just dudes. Mock is an undersized rookie. Hainsey, I don't know what the hell. He played a lot better last year, and he's getting knocked around. Filer's awful. Their left guard is awful. And he wasn't great last year. It wasn't great. They bring him in. He's a big guy. But I got news for you. Nick Leverett graded out 25 points better than what Filer did last year, and I would make that change right away.
Anybody want to say they miss Ryan Jensen yet?
Oh my God!
Anybody want to say that? Because Ryan Jensen is what made up at being a center, not only calling and helping the quarterback, but he was also assisting with the left guard and/or the right guard. That is how important it is to have a center in a National Football League.
Yeah, they need. Yeah, they.
And it's the physicality too. It's the physicality. It's the attitude. You don't have that attitude on this team.
Oh, he's 340 pounds, man. He moved people.
Yeah,
he didn't get any movement.
Yeah. Well, look at Derrick Henry, because there's been some.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, Derrick Henry to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. You like that? Why don't you like Henry to the Bucs?
Because if you're getting into the backfield, first off, it's going to cost the team too much money. Second off, he's on the other end of his career. Let's just be honest. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have a problem at running back on this football team. I think they have a scheme issue, and I think they have a blocking issue. Because this young man is in his second year, can play football. He's also a receiving back, and they're not utilizing him correctly. It's a coaching issue at this point, and they're not scheming for what deficiencies they have on this offensive line. So, with that being said, if they got Derrick Henry for next to nothing like they did Baker Mayfield, of course I would love a Derrick Henry. But the amount of money that's going to cost you in the upcoming years, it's just not worth it. It's not feasible.
Well,
JP?
You're not. I would not sign him to a long-term contract. Obviously not, and not at 30 years old. No way. No way. And again, you're building a team, and you still have salary cap constraints next year and moving forward. Big time. You know, an old running back. Listen, you want to I'll give you a 4th round pick, and you pick up his contract, and I'm not re-signing him. So I just get him for this year. They need a running back. They need somebody to come in here and try to juice this thing up. But as you know, what Scott Reynolds was on yesterday, he talked about Rashad Penny. Yes, that'll cost you a 6th round pick, no money at all. And it's somebody who's 5 years in the league, who's had good success.
That might be an idea.
Run this system. Yeah, that's a type of player I can go for. Derrick Henry, if it's a 4th round pick, I'm not even giving you a 3rd round, a 4th round pick, and you bring him in for this year to kind of give you some juice, I'm okay with that. It's going to stunt the growth of, I would say it would stunt the growth of Rashad White, but I don't think he's growing anywhere at this point.
Or Keyshawn Vaughn. But would Derrick Henry come to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 1-year deal being 30 years old? That's the question. I would say no. I would say no.
Does he have a no trade? If I were him, I'd look at this offensive line and say, hell no.
No, absolutely.
And I don't think, and it's the other thing, he's a guy that needs a crease and, to get going. He's not even going to be able to get up to speed with this offensive line. There's nowhere to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, I seen one play for him this past week. And I'll tell you what, he found one hole, and he looked like the Derrick Henry from 5 years ago. I'm not kidding.
Man, he was fast. He was running away from people.
It looked like the same thing, but right after about 50 yards, he started running out of gas. But I seen that explosion. He stuck his foot in, and he was gone. He was leaving DBs like this.
I know.
The DBs caught him. But that was a hell of a run. I was like,
give me 50 yards downfield. I'll take that. Yeah. If you're going to slow down at 50, I'm fine with that.
No, but he did really well. Other than that, I mean, it was a great time I had up there. I got some picks for you if you want.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get to your picks.
We got Thursday night. We got Jacksonville at the Saints. The Saints are -1.5 at home. How can the Saints be favored against anybody? I take Jacksonville on the road at 1.5. What do you think, JP?
Trevor Lawrence has got a banged up knee. I think the Saints they're kind of an enigma. Their roster's not bad. As a home dog in a game, a must-win game for them, I'd probably stay away from this game, to be honest with you. If I had to pick a side, I'd probably pick the Saints at home.
Well, I still think Trevor Lawrence is going to be quite healthy enough, but that I am leaning toward Jacksonville under Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Here's a shocker for you. Tampa's a 2.5-point favorite. That's not the shocking part. The shocking part is if they were in Atlanta, they would be an underdog.
Yikes.
How about that one?
Yeah.
They would be an underdog if the game was in Atlanta.
Desmond Ridder is god awful.
Thank you.
He's awful.
Set you free. I've been saying that forever.
Yes, you have. I said give him a chance, and then I watched the game last week, and I was like, oh my God, he's bad.
Give him a chance.
There you go, guys. Play Tampa small -2.5. It's not a huge pick, but this is what I do like. I love the over in this game at 38. Believe it or not, I think Tampa will score 24 or more points in this game.
Wow.
So all you got to do is get 14 or more out of the Atlanta Falcons, who, by the way, notoriously does play very well against Tampa Bay. I do like Tampa to cover, and I love the over. Cleveland at Indianapolis. Cleveland, what is showing? Are they going to be hung over? They're at Indianapolis, totals 39. Cleveland is -2. Take the Browns on the road, but be very careful. If at game time this is 2.5, stay away from the game because the 88% rule will come into effect here, and Indianapolis could win this game at home. Washington's -2 at New York. The same exact thing. If it gets to 2.5, you can't play the game because you're going to have to go to the home team. By the way, JP, I had the New York Giants covering in the first half. Not only covering, but winning in the first half. That was +6-1 against the Buffalo Bills. I didn't like them for the game, but they were at home. The power of a home underdog. You were just alluding to that with the New York, with the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
But these two games, Cleveland and Washington, be careful. If it gets to 2.5 and you can't bet the home team, don't bet the game at all. Arizona's +8 at Seattle. Hey, guys, anybody see this coming? Arizona's +8. Here's your upset special of the week. Take Arizona on the road, not a home dog, and put them on the money line. I do like Arizona in Seattle on the money line.
Wow. Okay. All
Chargers +5.5 at the Chiefs. Another division game. Take the points. Take the Chargers in the 5.5. Kansas City's not lighting it up on anybody right now.
No, Kansas City plays close games, and so do the Chargers. They always lose, but they play close games. So 5.5 at home. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's at SoFi, right? So that's not really a home field advantage.
No. It's at the Chiefs.
Oh, it's at the Chiefs. Well,
it's at the Chiefs, and they're getting 5.5.
Same crowd either way.
Right, and if you, it would be. But if you do get a little lucky at the end of the week, this game could actually go to 6. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger on the Chargers. I did like the way that the offense looked this past week, and the defense didn't look horrible. The over and under is 48. This game is supposed to be 52. Okay, so really keep an eye on the injury report. If this still stays the same at 48, don't be tricked. Do not play the over. Stay away from it because if it's too good to be true, JP, it generally is.
So you like the under 48?
Possibly. I'm not giving that out right now. I'm just saying because when you like to bet these two teams, you think of a high-scoring game, correct?
Right. The Chiefs haven't been doing that.
Right. If this game was 50 or 51, I'd say, yeah, play the over because Vegas isn't stupid, man. They got this at 48. They're begging for that action.
Yeah.
There's something going on there. That's because the Chiefs aren't lighting it up. Stay away from the over-under on that, but don't be afraid to pull the trigger on the Chargers +5.5. And if you can get 6, shove it in with both hands. Green Bay's at Denver. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton gets a win here at home. They're an underdog. Play the home dog here. Green Bay loses outright. They're favorite. They're losing the game. Denver will win the game. Miami at Philadelphia. Wow. Philadelphia is 2-point favorites at home. The total's 51. Stay away from the game. Bet the over, though. Bet the over 51. Absolutely love it.
All right. But you're not taking Miami. So
no,
over.
I'm not taking Miami in this game. Philadelphia can play defense. They will slow it down a little bit. They're going to have a little trouble trying to stop Miami's receivers with Philadelphia's in-app secondary. Their secondary is absolute garbage right now. They are not playing well at all. They are so undisciplined in their secondary that it's not even funny. But it's really being disguised well because that front seven, oh boy, are they putting pressure on people. They are really putting pressure on people. But I do like the over. I don't know who's going to win the ball game, but I do like the over. JP,
Okay.
what did you like this week?
You know what? I really haven't looked at it yet. I've been doing some other business, so I have not really dived into it. So I'm not going to give my picks in. I usually do that on Thursday, so I have not done my research. So I will not. I'm now that I have your picks, I'm going to dive in and use this as a guide and see if I like where you're going. But generally speaking, I like it because it's a time of year where you start. This is when really good coaches start shining. And I look at Sean Payton. I say he's a really good coach. It ain't going to be this bad for that long. He's going to figure it out. Brian Daboll's a pretty damn good coach for the Giants. He ain't got much to work with, but he's going to start figuring some things out. And it remains to be seen with the Buccaneers. Canales is in his first year. I didn't love what happened last week, but I don't think a lot was on him. The plays were there to be made. The players didn't make them. The Bucs defense has played well. They're in the top 10 in just about every category. So, but now teams know what you're doing. Now the chess game really gets going. It really gets going. Now, some people have had their bishop taken or their queen taken. So how do you adjust now with these injuries when you don't have certain pieces to attack with? How do you adjust? What is your strategy? This is when it gets really, really good in terms of the chess game. The really good coaches shine from week. This was Sal Powell was talking about this yesterday or on Monday. From week 6, week 7 in this league, everybody's got your film now. They know what you're trying to do. So now, how do you adjust? If you stay pat and what your attack that you've shown, you keep continuing that, you're going to lose. Guys will know how to counter it. And they'll figure you out. So if you're not trying new things and doing new things and executing them well in this league at this point forward, you're not going to survive. So this is where good coaches step forward. So if you're a betting person, I think that's where you start paying attention to some of the good coaches who've been maybe not had their best year and are undervalued. I'd like to put Belichick in that category, but I think he's lost it, man. I don't know what the hell
I think he's had too much control. I think the next team, and I was talking to Peter, I'm not really at liberty to talk about it right now, but there's a lot of rumblings that he's done in New England, and the Chicago Bears just might be possibly interested in him, but they will not give him the control that he currently has in New England. And here's another thing. I'm going to go ahead and break this down.
Like I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Neither would I, but I am going to break something here. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it, and you can even start diving into it. When you're in this particular room at Keeneland, there were a lot of people. Let's just put it this way. There were a lot of millionaires and even a couple of billionaires. Yes, that was a B, okay? And I kind of overheard a conversation, and I started digging into it a little bit more. But it seems like the Bears are about done in Chicago, and so are, you ready? The White Sox. They will possibly, if they can all come to an agreement, move both teams into Arlington, where Arlington Park was, which is just on the outside of Chicago, to make this huge complex. But the interesting news is this, JP.
Wow.
No, here's the
Cubs
interesting
will
news.
like that.
You ready? The owner of Amazon, Mr. Bezos, might be buying both franchises.
Wow.
Just like and this came when I tell you credible, I am not allowed to divulge this source, But let's put it this way. He was in a more majority interest for both teams, and he kind of represents them. That's all I got to say. They are this close to pulling the trigger, and it's all hinging on what Jerry Reinsdorf is going to allow. Can you imagine two of those teams in one complex, two stadiums, building? It automatically brings credibility. Now you get rid of the McCaskies, and now you get rid of a tightwad Mr. Jerry Reinsdorf. If you bring Bezos in, then you start talking about a whole bunch of things. Now you become relevant like that.
Reinsdorf, what an a-hole that guy is.
Yep.
My God.
Yep. If you really think about that, I mean, can you imagine if
I
this guy
got a great Reinsdorf story.
I got a couple too. It's pretty hilarious. What was yours? I got to hear it.
Yeah, I got to hear this.
I'm trying to think of
was it from basketball or baseball? Because
it was from basketball. I'm trying to think of like what was going on. It had to do with Jordan. And he was in Winston-Salem. This was when I was working up in North Carolina in Greensboro, and he was in Winston-Salem scouting Timmy Duncan. And I think it had something to do with Duncan. And so I said, oh, there's Jerry Reinsdorf. Let me go get a comment from him about possibly drafting Tim Duncan, because that's who he was there to scout. I think that's what it was. Mm-hmm. So and he's in the public eye, at this time. This is 1996, I believe, or 95 or 96, height of the Bulls. Right. And so he's in the public eye, and I'm like, let's go talk to Jerry Reinsdorf. So I went over there and I said, I think there was something else controversial going on with him. It might have been about the White Sox. I forget. But anyway, I just walked up to him so nicely and I said, Mr. Reinsdorf, do you have a moment for a couple of quick questions? He turns around and he looks at me and he goes, who the fuck are you?
Are you serious?
Get the fuck away from me. I'm not fucking talking to you. Get the fuck.
I could see that happening. And you know what? Because he thought you were going to ask the questions from what happened a couple of years prior. Because if you remember, the Chicago White Sox were a relevant team, but they weren't playing that well.
Yeah,
and
I forget.
They had McDowell, and they had, that's when they did it. You, Peter, I don't know if you remember this or not, but that was the white flag trade. At the All-Star break, they were trailing Cleveland by 2 or 3 games.
I wish I could remember the exact context of it, but he was just such an a-hole.
He was getting blasted, dude. Absolutely blasted. Very dear friend of mine, Chicago beat writer, never missed a game in Chicago in the Michael Jordan era was Mr. David Schuster, probably arguably one of the best journalists in Chicago and probably in the Midwest. He was courtside every single game, and he would tell me stories too about certain owners, and it really blew my mind, But can you imagine being a beat writer and on a court for every single game for a Michael Jordan? Seriously, I mean, that would it's just like mind blowing, But
I wonder where he was the night that Jordan, that it was revealed that Jordan was going to announce his retirement during the baseball game. Did that not happen during a White Sox game?
Well, he went to play for the White Sox, Double A.
Yeah.
He played Double-A baseball for the Chicago White Sox, and there was one particular game.
He was in Sarasota for a little while too, down here.
Yep. And he was up in Birmingham, and he was down here in Sarasota. But I could sit up here and tell all those kind of stories. But man, I'll tell you what, big shout out to David Schuster. By the way, he watches your show.
Thank you, David.
Maybe
what an honor.
Maybe someday when you guys want to talk boxing or something like that, he is an absolute savant when it comes to boxing. I can go ahead and set it up for you. David follows my show as well because he likes listening to the picks, and he knows that I'm on shows up in Chicago as well throughout the week. But I love the cross-pollination of things because it's wonderful, especially in the wintertime. JP, there's nothing more, and I get off more than sitting in my backyard in front of the pool in the middle of January.
I don't know where this is going.
Right. And it's 80 degrees, and then they're sitting up there shaking like a whole church
good.
going, it's so cold, I mean, it's just a
all
lot
right,
of
Harry.
fun.
Great stuff, my man. Tell everybody where they can find your content. We got to get one last break in here, and then we're going to
find me right here Wednesdays or Thursdays on the JP Peterson Show. We give you the preliminary picks, all the hottest picks in the National Football.
Got them
all the hottest picks in the
Going
National Football League. We are 43-14 on the year. Out of the 43 picks, you ready? 18 have been on the money line, and they all have been underdogs.
Whoa!
And get this. Monday and Wednesdays, you can catch me on the Sports Web live with Peter Blake, and on Sunday mornings, that's when you can watch me on the Over Under, where I'm hosting the show. We're giving out our final picks. We're kind of massaging everything out, and you never know. I might be getting this dude on my show one of these days. So we can kick it a little bit, a little hour, and it's a little pregame for.
Love to do it.
It's a little pregame around the National Football League. It's just a couple of guys talking sports and making a few shekels. You guys have a great day, man. Much love,
Eric.
JP.
Good stuff, man.
Keep your hustle up, Pete. Love what you're doing, guys. We'll see you guys around. Have a great day.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, I love the picks, and I love the Bears and the White Sox to Arlington. Ooh,
yeah,
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
Bezos.
How important would that be? I mean, and
love that. Yeah, they're getting the hell out of Chicago. I mean, they got to get out of downtown Chicago with their lives. South Side and downtown Chicago. Wow, it's like the Gaza Strip. All right, let's get one quick break, my friend, and then we'll come back and wrap things up here on the JP Peterson Show. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
The show as we wind things up here on this Wednesday. Some news out of England revolving around Manchester United. Evidently, they are they've been trying to sell that thing for a long time. There was a reported $7 billion bid from a sheik in Saudi Arabia, but with the instability and going on in the Middle East right now, the sheik has pulled back, and now they're looking for other sources of money. So there's this dude Radcliffe that may buy into it, but there's a lot of turmoil surrounding the owners of the Buccaneers, the Glazers, as far as the sale of Man United goes. So hopefully they will collect those billions of dollars and they can use them to support whatever's going to go on here in Tampa Bay, maybe a new stadium.
Yeah, speaking of billion or millions, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell's contract extension has been signed and finalized. It's set through 2027. Already his career earnings are $700 million. And, of course, the other breaking news of the day, Anthony Richardson officially out for the year, having surgery on the shoulder. So your thoughts on
700, the commissioner who has never been hit once.
Never
once. Made a tackle. Never made a tackle. Never got hit.
Yeah.
Never made a touchdown.
What are we doing?
Kicked a field goal, for God's sakes. Make $700 million. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. That's the guy. That's the guy. $70 million a year. Doesn't take a hit. Not one. Never. Never blocked anybody. Except maybe some reporters.
And some opportunities to suspend stars like Deshaun Watson and Ray Rice. Let's not bring that up.
As the great George Carlin once said, it's a club with a whole lot of money and a whole lot of power, and you ain't in it. And you'll never be in it. All they do is start wars. And by the way, the Iranian embassy just tweeted out, time is up. That's the Iranian embassy.
Oh, the time is up.
Time is up.
So it's not the Me Too movement. It's now the Iranian movement. Your time is up now. Oh, that's great.
Time is up. And
Gotta
that's
love
true.
that.
Any of you non-believers, any of you Christian nations, time is up.
Wow.
So,
gotta love that.
Have a nice day, everybody.
Have a nice day. It was a great day. Thanks.
Hope they all meet their virgins
at
some point. Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. Hopefully.
Can we end off with a better note than that? Jesus.
Maybe we won't. Joe Biden heading over to Israel to preside over the opening ceremonies of World War III. That's from the Babylon Bee today. Good luck with that, everybody. Have fun with it. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully. See you then.